Palmer, I think he said he would be. Talk to Latrice. Actually, she's supposed to be there Wednesday. Working on the priority list. Okay. Yeah. Afternoon. Welcome. And this is the Gullah Geechee Land and Cultural Preservation Task Force meeting, November the 4th, 2024. I would like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And if there are no adjustments to the agenda, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda that's set before us. So moved. Mr. Hens has moved. Ms. Wright has second. In favor, any opposed? Okay. That's unanimous. We have the minutes from October 14th, and hopefully you had a chance to read through those. If there are no corrections or revisions, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our October 14th meeting. You move, Ms. Wright? Okay, Mr. Hens has moved, Ms. Wright has second. All those in favor, none opposed, okay, that passes unanimously. All right, very good. We're down to staff reports. Now we have some general staff updates. Alamo Districts, Shay Farrar. Did I say your last name right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chairman Stevens, task force members. Shay Farrar for the record. I'm happy to report today that we do have progress being made on districts and the LMO. As Missy shared in the last staff report for districts, we are in the process of scheduling our public engagement meetings. These meetings will be accompanied by a survey as well as stakeholder meetings. We plan to engage the Planning Commission and we'll invite the task force as well to participate in the meetings. The Marshes District, Skull Creek District, and Mid-Island, as well as Chaplin, do have historic neighborhoods in them, and we will be communicating with the district regarding those meetings specifically as we move forward. For the LMO, we do continue work on that. The priority amendments are scheduled for the Planning Commission in November, with the public hearing being held in January. This will involve public engagement as well. The full LMO overhaul work is continuing with that. And will include involvement with the task force also. This will follow the districts in 2025. So that's my general update. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just curious as to the potential timing of the community engagement.
Right now, we are in the process of scheduling the meetings. There's a possibility that we could have some meetings in 2024. We're evaluating the potential for shifting all of our engagement into 2025 and doing more of a consolidated effort. So as we flush out the details of that, we will be following up with more specifics.
I'm more concerned about the time of day.
The time of day, right now we're targeting around 5 p.m. and a couple-hour meeting, so it would be
Okay.
around 5 to 7 for each of those.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Other questions? They have a chance to speak with Missy, and I know it's a work in progress for sure.
Yes.
Questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next item is our Historic Neighborhood Permitting and Design Studio Report. Sharonica Gavin Stewart.
Good afternoon, task force members. Sharonica Gavin, for the record, Principal Planner of Historic Neighborhoods. Alrighty, so following the meeting on October 14th, we have received one new request for the Historic Neighborhood Permitting and Design Studio. And this request includes guidance on density allowances and conceptual site planning. Overall, we have had 91 total design studio requests, with 67 of those completed. Right now, a big focus is on those 16 active projects.
I know that work is continuing too, and we did get that report in October. Any questions for Sharonica? Yes, Ms. Wright?
My question is, how are you? Congratulations.
Thank you, and I'm well.
The 3 on hold, is that pending on completing the application or reviews on them or?
So the applications, the active projects that are currently on hold, that's on the applicant themselves. Yes, ma'am. Usually there's additional information that they need to attain. Sometimes it could be financial situations, so they're just waiting in order to get the funding that they need in order to move the project forward.
Do you have a time that they, like a time limit, having them on hold? Are they 6 months, 4 months? Do you give them?
No, I don't, I never want to pretty much, put a time limit on, removing them from on hold. My biggest thing is just to check in to see where they are. Because oftentimes they are moving forward, it's just a little slower.
Right.
But I never want to, kind of just move them out of on hold until they kind of give me the go-ahead, like, hey, Sharonica, things aren't moving forward. And I will then reassess what I can do to kind of help move it forward or either connect them with additional resources. It's the biggest thing.
Yes, and I know actually I've been working with one of the applicants, so that is exactly the case there.
Okay,
Hence,
thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
How's the process going? Do we have the right process? Do we need to make any changes? Are we marketing it as well as we can? Do we need to make any changes there, or is it going good?
Absolutely. So we have increased marketing since the time of me taking on the position as far as rack cards. So when someone walks into town hall, they can grab that piece of material. We've also had television features regarding the program. One of the biggest things, just to make sure all of you are aware, I am looking to revamp this program, kind of bringing some things online and streamlining the process internally. So I have been making some transitions to make sure that it is effective when we're working, collaborating with other teams here within the town. Yeah, so I will have additional updates for that for you.
Sharonda, may I ask, I see here that you have everything recorded from October 21 to October 24. Question I have is it possible for us to get a segment added to this that shows us more real-time situations, like, year to year? Even though you have the total there, it would be nice to know if in 2024 we had, 4 projects. Is that something we can do?
Absolutely. And following today's meeting, I'll get this out to you all. I have it broken down by calendar year, so I'll share that with you. And moving forward, if that's what we see fit to kind of give it year to date, we can do that as well.
All right, thank you.
question? Okay. there are no other questions on that particular item, we'll forward with the home safety and repair program.
Perfect. As of our meeting on October 14th, we have received 3 new home safety and repair applications, including 2 home safety repair requests and 1 for tree removal/trimming. In July of 2024, the town relaunched this program with updated internal processes to improve the experience for applicants, the contractors, as well as the staff who work on this program. And since the relaunch, program associates have conducted 56 site visits. We've completed 17 projects and currently have 27 projects under contract.
Questions on that item?
How are the funds looking for the home safety program?
The allotted funding back in May of this year, we have to encumber those funds by December 31st. So we were able to identify applicants with completed projects to kind of ensure that all those funds are encumbered by December 31st.
May I ask again, another question? In relationship to the amount of work that needs to be done, do we have enough contractors that are available to do the works? And are you still accepting new contractors?
Absolutely. So when we relaunched the program, I did an additional push to recruit contractors for the program. And to date, we currently have about 5 contractors who work within the program. We are always looking for additional contractors to be affiliated with the home safety and repair program.
Other questions on this item? You've got the next one too, sewer connection.
So
program.
the lateral sewer connection program, we have received a total of 45 applications. 31 jobs have been completed. And we have 3 that are currently under contract right now with 6 jobs pending. And we're waiting on additional funding for those.
And how much is it? It says the additional funding is 82,000.
Sorry, you'll say that one more time.
Additional funding you're waiting for is 82,000.
That's what we would need in order to address those 6 jobs that are currently waiting.
Okay.
And are these potential homeowners with the town's initiative, or is that PSD and town combined?
With our lateral sewer connection program, we work very closely with PSD as well as Deep Well. So initially, when the applications come in, they start with Deep Well, and if they are not approved through their program, they can then be transferred over to us. It's basically a collaborative effort.
Okay.
Now, my last question is, those 6 jobs that are waiting, are those people who already purchased a mobile home that are waiting to put it on the lot? Or are the people who already have a house that are in septic that are just waiting to get hooked up?
For those are usually people who are waiting to move a mobile home to a lot that does not currently have that sewer connection.
Okay.
I have been asking, just kind of ensuring that we are informing those who are looking to place manufactured homes here on Hilton Head, if they're looking to apply for this program, to hold off on purchasing, because once they purchase, unfortunately, some of the retailers for these manufactured homes are asking them to get them placed as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So for the sewer connection program, you say all applicants start at Deep Well, and if they can't fund it for whatever reason, qualifications or whatever, then it comes to the town?
Yes.
Okay. How about the home safety and repair? I know Deep Well works with you. Is that similarly starts with them and goes to you, or are those simultaneous?
With home safety and repair, it starts with us. It starts with the town. Unlike lateral connection, the lateral sewer connection program, we have had conversations with Deepwell to determine how we can collaborate because they do specialize in some projects, whether that is building porches, as just a prime example. If we can collaborate with them, we can make larger efforts within these homes that actually need repairs. So that conversation is continuously going to figure out how to better address these issues and collaborate together as a team.
And I know that some of these mobile home dealers, they will finance the sewer for you. They'll do like a whole package loan, finance the house and finance the sewer and everything. So is there any way we could get them to finance that sewer connection if when we get the funds, we will pay them back or?
I can definitely look into that. I haven't ran across any in that nature at this time, but we can definitely look into it.
All right.
Your mic on?
Ms. Garvin Stewart, how are we publishing, our goodwill? You know, when we have success, rates and things that happen, you know, throughout, you know, pretty much all the things that you've been reporting on, how are we advertising the success rate of what's happening from the town and, you know, the recognition and giving back, whether or not it's Deepwell or, you know, other entities that may be helping out with this. I think it's very important that we do that. So just kind of curious how it is. Is it on the website or?
So when we do site visits, a part of the site visit, one of the forms that I go through with each applicant is our Town of Hilton Head Island media and photo release form. So this is an optional form for them. It provides them with the opportunity to allow our team, specifically our communications team, to connect with them. And they give us the approval to showcase the photos. They will give us approval to publish quotes, things of that nature. So I'll be working closely with the communications team as we button up a few more of these projects in order to push the communications and impact of the program. I do share with the homeowners that this is optional for them. However, as we look to attain additional funding for these programs, it'll be impactful.
I think it's impactful when they do see, and I think it encourages others to be more, you know, willing to ask for assistance if they need it, you know, and understanding that the process is not as challenging as they may think it would be. So I think doing that would definitely help the community as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? And again, I just want to say that I appreciate your work, and you're not exactly a new employee anymore. You've kind of got your feet on the ground, and I know you have a lot of balls in the air. So I just appreciate your attention to all of this, you know, this great body of work. And to Ms. Wright's point, it's important that we let people know that we're having some success out there and we are addressing things, and that we have someone here that they can come and talk to about any one of these items. So again, thank you for your good work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, our next item is our Gullah History and Cultural Awareness Program. It's Angie Stone, Assistant Town Manager.
Good afternoon, Chairman Stevens, task force members. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. Just wanted to bring you up to speed on where we are with the Gullah Culture and History program. As you know, in 2019, the report brought forth a recommendation. It was CP7, indicating that there was an issue with understanding of the Gullah culture and history and maybe a sensitivity to the needs of the community. The strategy description was to enhance communications and to implement a crash course in Gullah history and culture, to provide a tour for folks, and then potentially to have presentations by the Gullah community to, again, reinforce the history and the culture. On September 20th of 2022, Town Council approved the content of the program. And since then, the Gullah tours have been in place. Those happen quarterly, and all town staff has been on those tours. The Gullah 101 program, you all thankfully attended on July 1st, I believe, of this year and provided feedback. Levon, our Chairman Stevens and I met and discussed the feedback and shared that with the contractor for that program. The program is now ready to roll, and this Wednesday will be the first presentation to town staff. We'll be catching up all of the current staff. That will happen quarterly or semi-annually, depending on the need to bring new folks along with that. The last component was a video, and we have been working on that for a while as well. We hired a contractor to produce that video for us back in December of 23. Early this year, we went out to try to begin creating that video, and we ran into a little bit of, it started off a little rough. So we had some folks in the community, I think, who were unaware of the intent and were a little hesitant to participate in the video. Over the course of trying to get this put together, we learned a few things. There had been an honorarium that was discussed, and we found out that that was not something that we could handle doing. We also learned that based on FOIA for the town, Freedom of Information Act, there was no way to promise the participants that that video would not be shared beyond town staff. Since that time, Chairman Stevens has been working in the community to try to get folks to agree to participate and has had some success. And at this point, we're continuing to try to move that forward. We have not gotten the bulk of the folks who were identified by this task force as folks that you would like to participate. We have not gotten consent from them to do so. So at this point, we're moving that forward. The other two components have been implemented. And personally, I think that there's been a lot of headway made in the relationship between the town and the community, and I'm grateful to be a part of that. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Yes, we've been having conversations back and forth and working with that piece. One of the things that I like that you are saying, of course, is that the tours and the program has been pretty much implemented with town staff, and folks are pretty excited to learn about the island and learn about this culture. So I think we're having some better relations. And again, to Ms. Wright's point, making sure that we are advertising that publicly and folks know that we're making those efforts in our relationship and how we interact with our staff. And again, I appreciate your good work. And
between the efforts of this task force and the council putting into place the Gullah Geechee Historic Neighborhood Cultural or Community Development Corporation, I think there have been leaps and bounds forward momentum for that. So I appreciate your feedback and all that you have done.
And that's a very good point. Just having the CDC come on board has been a big help in some of those areas. I see Mr. Boxley is here. Thank you for taking time out to be with us again. And I will also take this time to recognize Councilman Brown. And for those of us who've been working in the community, we are having some success with that. So we'll keep working on that.
And there are additional opportunities through the Office of Cultural Affairs and the Community Development Corporation to create videos that maybe have a little different focus and a wider impact on preserving the culture. So there's opportunities there, even if this video does not materialize, to move forward with maybe a different focus. That is obviously squarely on your plate.
Yes, sir. Please.
I was just curious as to how the video will be utilized, if it should come into fruition.
The video was intended to interview some community members on their actual experience with the town and with preserving their land, questions of that nature. Those topics, the topics are similar to those that will be covered in Gullah 101. So it is sort of a reinforcement through personal experience rather than a program presented in a classroom type scenario. So we'll focus on Gullah culture, the settlement of Gullah people in Hilton Head, settlement of the 14 historic communities, challenges to native island land retention and sustainability. So again, it is the same topics that are covered in the
Yeah,
101.
I think my question is really more of, once it's produced,
Oh, I see.
how would it be used? Would it be something that a person can go to a website or a QR code and look at it, or how would you use it?
This video is intended solely for employee
Okay.
orientation. So
Okay.
it would be one component. So we have the tour that everyone takes, then we will have Gullah 101 that everyone will attend. And this would have
Okay.
been a third component that would be used in orientation of new employees.
All right.
It was not intended to be released publicly. However, we found out that we can't prevent somebody for asking for it as a Freedom of Information Act request, for instance, because it is part of our employee orientation program. It could be released.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
One quick comment. I was glad to hear that the video is not going to stop the program from moving forward. That's good to know because, you know, I guess, like you say, FOIA sort of commands certain things. And also, I was probably more curious to not who were the participants that felt they couldn't share some of the history. I would find that a little bit different because I think most of us who live here are pretty proud members of our community and of our history. So I'm just was curious as those participants who were not willing to share. But nonetheless, you know, I'm just glad to know that the video is not going to stop the program from moving forward. It has a lot of other good components that I think will serve very well. So.
Thank you.
Let me just speak to that for a minute. I want to clear up a little bit of our language. We are going to move forward with the video. I know there's some folks who are not as comfortable, and we do have quite a few people who have already agreed to participate. So we will produce the video in some form or fashion, and we're still hoping to get some key members of the community to participate. I'm glad to see Dr. Cohen here. We've had some good conversations back and forth just to get some clarification. And the one thing about our culture I can speak to, I know, is that we always respect our elders, and we love to have their blessing and their input. But however, we will talk about the culture and the community, and we hope we get some of those key people to participate. So, but the video will happen. Okay, so.
And one other point that I think is important that we recognize that, you know, such videos, you know, have say historical significance as well, because, you know, some of the people who I would hope would be videoed or who would participate, you know, we are thankful to have them here. And, you know, at some point when they're no longer here, you know, those kinds of videos will stand to represent the culture for many, many years to come. So, and I guess like the chairman said, you know, it is going to move forward. So I think there's a significant thing to happen if we could, you know, find people who would be willing to share the history in recorded form, because, you know, it would be something that would last, you know, and be able to let us show our history as well. So.
Yes, sir, Mr. Simmons, absolutely. And there, The more I looked into this, the more I found that there is video footage from over time that has captured some of that history and culture. And we'll be looking into how do we do something more of a cultural preservation piece than an employee orientation piece. So, but to your point, to preserve the culture and to capture the stories of those folks who none of us will always be here, right? But to capture the history and the important experience of those community members that are elders in the community at this point.
And we certainly understand and appreciate the hesitation to participate, because in this day and age that we live in, and from our past experiences, we know that our images and our stories have been exploited and even misinterpreted. So again, I think we want to just make sure we're very clear and about how it's going to be used and where it's going to be housed, and what the purpose of it is. It's also important to say that this is one of our recommendations from the task force. So this is something that the task force is asking for. It's not necessarily the town that's doing this, is what task force is directing staff to do. But again, on the other hand, we are very careful about how we proceed with that. And I know there was a lot of misunderstanding about what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, and compensation and how it's going to be used and things like that. So
Yes, sir.
I
The
think
last
we've
thing we
learned a
wanna do
lot.
is perpetuate any distrust or any ill will. That is the absolute last thing that we want to do as we try to create this program based on your recommendations, is to cause harm. That is definitely not the intent. It is to honor the culture and the history that's here.
Questions? Yes.
Hi, Angie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I would just like to make a comment that I wanted to say thank you to Angie Stone with the Gullah History and Cultural Awareness programs that the town has put in place for our community. And just to say that it does work, and it is working in terms of collaborations. And I do want to point out most recently that we had we as in Mitchellville had a film series, and the CDC was a part of that as well. And also we're in the process of having a traveling exhibit that the the Cultural Center is also going to be a part of that as well. So having those collaborations within our community, I think, is important. And one of the most, I would say, significant pieces personally is that Historic Mitchellville Freedom Park has a sign that actually points to the park, which is one of the brown historical signs that you see on the highway. And if I'm not mistaken, is that the first historic sign of the Gullah culture is on Hilton Head, or is there another? I know that Culture HHI have their signs, but it's not the brown historic signs.
I believe that it is.
It is the first one. And Angie Stone is to be thanked for doing that for us. And I commend you for the work that you're doing, and we're very proud to have that as a part, and hoping that the other significant historic sites on the island can be recognized with those historic signs, because there are other entities around that have signs up, but it's 2024 and finally got a sign up, and I'm really happy about that. Thank you, Angie.
It was my pleasure, and I'm just so grateful that we were able to get that done.
Absolutely. And we have so many others that need to go up, the Gullah Museum and, other signs that need to go up from historic churches. So I think it's important that we recognize that it is a beginning, and because of this program that is working. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I should also share that I was able to speak with another member of the community representing Dr. Campbell. And again, it was just a matter of getting some clarification and understanding about how the stories would be told and images used. And in this video, we're simply asking for 3 to 4 minute interviews. It's not that we're asking anyone to give away their content or their story or the history, whether it be any of our historically sensitive cultural organizations in the community. But that was very helpful to me, again, trying to just understand how we navigate this and the intent of it. And what we're looking for is the outcome, and that's a better relationship between the town staff and our Gullah culture.
And I would say we're well on our way.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? But before you leave, though, I do want to ask if Dr. Coyne has a question or a comment, if you would like to speak. You know, I'll put you on the spot in a minute, but I'm glad you're here. Come forward, please.
Now, today was supposed to be one of my sit back and listen day. I wasn't supposed to say anything. But you brought something out that I didn't hear before about the town. And it was something you said, and I just listened and I didn't write it down, but it clicked. Then I need to have another conversation with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because the word of God says, above all, get understanding. So we need to make sure that we understand what's going on. And I do. Let me speak for myself. I need to know exactly what's going on. And there are no hidden agendas, you know? And then when I find that out, then I can move on with my decision.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
And of course, I'm saying it like this, and I'm moving slow because of things that have happened in the past. So that caused me not to be so quick to say yes. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that Louise is not holding back on something that is very important, because I know it is. But it's just when I move, I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And that's why you hear the question of how is this video going to be used? And I heard the answer, there's no promise that it wouldn't go elsewhere or otherwise. So anyway, you have to take things like that into consideration because of some things that have happened to us, because some of us have been exploded. And that's the reason that why I am walking very slow. And I was going to make sure that this committee understand why Louise is taking the stand that she is taking, okay? But then you did say something that make me kind of going to change my mind, all right?
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. You know, if you look at some of the notes from that particular recommendation, we named specific people in specific organizations, for example, that we wanted to have included. I'm sure your name was mentioned very specifically. And as you said, and as I've said, I want to make sure that we have clear understanding. There's nothing I would say behind your back that I would not say to your face. So we're not trying to sneak something past you or the Gullah Museum, okay? And that it's all out there in the open, and I'm happy to have another conversation with you, and I appreciate you having an open mind to that, okay? All right, that's it. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you.
Just,
I'm sorry.
One quick note, not necessarily
Oh,
Angie, but
okay.
I think Joyce mentioned about one other little brown historical marker. I think there's one on Spanish Wells Road that sort of recognizes my grandfather's historical marker. So there's another one, that, at least one more that we have.
So they second, and you was first.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Just as a footnote.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Okay, the next item we have on our agenda is the Housing Action Committee update. Mr. Quincy White, the Chief Housing Officer. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you. So good afternoon, Chairman Stevens and task force members. So I'm just going to give a brief update in regards to housing. The last time we've met, I believe it was the early part of the year. I just started my position, so we do have quite a few things to go over on a high level. So I was able to present earlier part of the year at the Bluffton Chamber of Commerce Power Hour to discuss again housing initiatives, housing programming, and what are we doing on the island in regards to workforce housing. So that was a great opportunity to hear from community stakeholders on some of the questions that they had in regards to Hilton Head and workforce housing, and I was able to provide a high-level presentation in regards to that. I was also able to present at the public Policy Committee of the Chamber of Commerce, also discussing and emphasizing on ongoing work of workforce housing here on the island. So in September, we were able to host 2 successful community engagement events, one in Jonesville and one in Muddy Creek. So in Jonesville, we had about 114 residents attend the event. We had about 25 staff members participate in providing an overview in regards to programs and services happening on a town level. And for Muddy Creek, on September 12th, we had about 82 attendees and about 30 staff members, again, engaging with community members to speak more in regards to, when it came to specifically with Muddy Creek, what we're doing with the town-owned property, what are some of the programs and initiatives that we plan on doing throughout the neighborhood. So to that end, one of the items that we heard in the Muddy Creek community engagement event was the need for a community cleanup. So we are scheduling a community cleanup for November 16th at 8 a.m. to 12 noon. This is our opportunity for volunteers, staff members, and residents to work hand in hand cleaning the community, but also for us as staff members to hear feedback for residents in regards to some of the items they would like to see happen as part of our overall neighborhood stabilization plan. So work is ongoing in regards to that neighborhood stabilization plan. So we are planning to have a community stakeholder group be a component of the development of that plan to ensure that we're on the right track. So we plan to meet with internal stakeholders, internal departments, community members as well. There should be several engagement events scheduled throughout the month to ensure, again, that we're meeting the needs of the community and the community's expectations are incorporated into the plan. So, since we've last met, the North Point Workforce Housing Development Agreement was fully executed, so that's great news. Of course, North Point will be exclusively workforce housing with roughly 150 to 170 workforce housing units, 1, 2, 3 bedroom units geared towards the workforce here on the island. So we're, of course, extremely excited about that. So that really well, let me take a step back. There are some upcoming events that I would love to share with you. So there is an affordable housing symposium on November 12th that will be led by the Community Foundation of the Low Country. If you're interested in attending, I'll share that information with Ms. Gavin to share with you all as well. And again, we are scheduling our community cleanup event on November 16th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. We plan to meet at the town-owned property at 30 Bryant Road. We should have community organizations such as the Outside Foundation, I2 also participating in that event. Our Chief Environmental Officer will also provide an overview of the importance of recycling and kind of lead our discussion before we actually go out and start the street sweeps. The community cleanup will have a 3-tier. It'll be a street sweep, it'll be a mobile recycling center, and a small debris pickup with a larger debris pickup scheduled in January. We also expect to do a community cleanup in Jonesville, also tentatively scheduled for the early part of next year. So that concludes my updates.
Very good. Questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Hens.
Thought, don't know if it's a good one or not, but for functions like the Muddy Creek cleanup, would it be a thought that our committee would man a tent to provide information on our various services, you know, the hookups, the, you know, housing, just everything that we do as a committee to help get that information out and enable folks from that community to ask questions?
I think that's an excellent idea. A component of both this community cleanup and our last community engagement event was to interact with residents to let them know and inform them in regards to some of the programs and services we have here on the town level. So if you all are interested in having a table at the event, just please let us know, coordinate with myself or Ms. Gavin, and we'll make sure it happens.
Do we have some type of brochure that we can make up
Or
for the event? I mean, you a tent, but I'm talking about a brochure of all the services that we could provide.
So we do have flyers that highlight some of the different services and programs we provide here on the town level. It would be the same information that was shared at the engagement event.
Okay.
and the last couple of community engagement meetings, we they were pretty well publicized. Folks in those areas knew what was happening there.
Yes.
Because it's not really a concern. I just don't want to catch people by surprise.
Of course.
And that they know that this is going to be happening in their community.
Great question.
I mean, I know for myself, when I have somebody to come to clean my house, I like to clean it before they get there. Okay?
I understand. So mailers and flyers will be shared today. There will be roadsides throughout the neighborhood as well, assuring that folks are aware of the community cleanup. There will be a robust outreach effort, knocking on doors, passing out flyers, and we want to ensure that all the neighborhood members are aware. We have been able to compose a smaller group of community stakeholders to help us get the word out. So we're actually planning on meeting sometime this week at the town-owned property to go through logistically how the event's going to look and, again, further get the word out.
Yeah, and to Mr. Hens's point and Mr. Campbell's point too, I'm assuming we're just by default one of those stakeholder groups as well, our task force. And which I think is a great point because not everybody realizes that this task force even exists. Mm-hmm. So if we can have a presence there and let folks know that we're another arm or leg that can help with physical cleanup and our physical presence, but also that they know some of the other things that this task force is doing as well to benefit those communities.
Yeah, we would really appreciate that. Getting the word out, helping us when it comes to, being out in the community, engaging in the community cleanup. I think you all's input and presence will be invaluable.
Yeah, and just a little bit more on that point, as we've always said before, we can put it online, we can put it on a computer, we can send flyers, we can do all of that. But in our culture, a lot of times, that shade tree conversation from somebody that they know and love and trust is just as helpful, or maybe even more important, if they know that certain people are involved in this effort. So,
absolutely.
So we can too assist you and staff in this effort.
No, thank you, and we appreciate that.
Yeah. Yes, Ms.
I just want to add to that, maybe that we can collaborate as well with the CDC. I'm going to put them on the spot with that as well, and we can all be under the same tent. So, just to kind of, let the community know that we all are working on the same. And I think that's very important too, Quincy, to show the collaboration of the different entities that we do have here at the town, so.
Excellent point, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think a theme of both the engagement event and this event is for us to ensure that community members know that they're heard, that we're hearing them, and we're moving forward with some of the efforts that we're trying to do.
Are you talking to more of the churches, the local churches too?
Yes, so we've been reaching out to some of the local churches as well. Some of the organizations that have done community cleanups in that neighborhood before, we want them to be engaged with us. If not now in November, then possibly in January when we come back.
Yeah, just a quick question. The Jonesville property that you discussed, that is town-owned property as well, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Okay.
I have one question about the housing units. Did you mention 150 to maybe 170 units?
Yeah, in regards to the North Point development, there's a range between 150 to 170 units, yes.
What's the targeted groundbreaking and completion of that project?
I want to make sure I understood. Are you saying the estimated timeline in regards to completion?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
Start to finish.
Sure. So it's kind of hard to say that at this point. I don't want to give out the wrong date, but I can certainly circle back with you once we have that information.
All right, thank you.
And in the future, are you going to plan on doing community cleanups in other neighborhoods?
Yes, we have had those discussions in regards to moving this around the island to areas that may need it.
Okay.
Questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. White, for your report and your good work. Okay. Next item we have on our agenda is Town Open Positions Update. Ms. Monica Gavin.
Hello again. So we do have some current open positions here at the town of Hilton Head Island. The three departments they come from, we have open positions in planning, we have open positions in finance, as well as fire rescue. Within the planning department, we have an assistant planning director position available, a building inspector position available, as well as a community planning manager. For finance, we have an assistant finance director position available, a budget analyst, a revenue services supervisor, as well as a short-term rental coordinator. Within fire and rescue, we have a 911 public safety telecommunicator position available, a community risk reduction specialist, as well as a firefighter/EMT position available. And all of these positions, any open positions at the town of Hilton Head are always available on the website, just so people know.
Know how long those positions been open?
I do not have an accurate time of when they all have been open. But I can get that to you.
Other questions?
I guess I'm always the last person to know, but obviously, Sharonica, some things that happened for you that I'm not aware of, so I'm just gonna say my congratulations as everybody else. So obviously I missed something, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Hot news right now.
I just feel left out.
You're never left out, Mr. Simmons.
Well, thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions on that item, thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item we have is public comment. Before I get to that, though, from time to time, we'll ask or allow the public to speak to any of the previous items we had, and I did not do that before, so I don't know if anybody had a question about anything else we've discussed here. Okay, great. For public comment on non-agenda items, this is the time anyone from the public can ask about a non-agenda items. Karen, did we have any submissions but we don't?
No, sir.
Yeah, we don't, okay. And anybody here that's present? Okay, if there are seeing none, again, I want to thank Councilman Brown and Mr. Boxley for being here with our town staff, and of course, Councilor Chet Williams is always here to help and support and give us some guidance. Dr. Cohen, thank you for your presence, and the gentleman in the back, thank you for being here as well. I know that I know exactly who you are, but it's so few of us, I feel like I can personalize this meeting. And let me just make one other comment. Mr. Hintz, for staff's sake, asked a question about maybe including some of the other recommendations for our agenda. I explained that we have a priority list I know that we're working on, and I believe his question, we can articulate a little better than I can about other agenda items that we might be trying to take on here in the near future. I also let him know that staff has their hands full now with the priorities that we have in front of us, but just a comment. If there's no other questions or comments, I appreciate the input from my colleagues and for certainly helping put some of these agenda items and questions together. In particular, Mr. Campbell helped me a lot this time. So when I reach out and say, hey, what would we like to see on the agenda? You've been so kind to help give me some thoughts and ideas about that. Another little housekeeping question is that I'm not looking at our meeting calendar right now. Do we have a meeting scheduled in December? Or is that? We do? Oh. Okay. I'm just thinking in terms of the holidays and all of that, if that might be one we might consider canceling unless someone has some burning desire, but we can have that conversation. December the 2nd, okay. Early. That might be a consideration, right? There are no other questions, no other comments. We are down at the end of our agenda, and I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
We find ourselves adjourned. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.
Yeah.